Hey guys, Adrian Ramos here, Truth Seeker. Here's a video series dedicated to one of my favorite YouTubers, goforitRANDY, the original Truth Seeker, and I want to highlight some of his greatest works. goforitRANDY has been taking pictures and videotaping interdimensional beings, orbs, and other amazing things for the past 5 or 6 years now. Why are you featuring him on your channel, you ask? Because there are powers that be that do not want this information, these videos out there. So the more people that have them, the better. I know sometimes it can be difficult to step outside of our paradigm, but I encourage you to look around and think for yourself. You would be amazed at the things that you will see if you stop just for a moment and take a look around and see what is really going on in the world.
Have you ever wondered where UFOs come from? Ever wonder who's flying these UFOs up in our atmosphere, flying around the stars and pretty much anywhere they want to go? Are these extraterrestrials that have traveled from some far-off distant planet off in the galaxy somewhere, that have been traveling in superluminal spacecraft that can travel across interstellar space faster than the speed of light in some kind of transdimensional craft? Or could this be something very different from what we thought it is? And maybe these UFOs are much closer to Earth than we ever thought possible. And now, after 30 years of diligently researching after my very first UFO sighting with 100 UFOs above me, hovering above me, I have found the answer that I've been looking for 30 years. And now I'm going to share it with the world. You'll find that most UFOs like to fly in formations of 3, but once in a while they'll gather together in larger formations. Like here's 5 of them that come together here. 2 other ones come flying in from behind. Now they had to catch up to these 3 that were clearly hundreds of yards or maybe even a quarter of a mile or so ahead of each other. So here is 2 formations of 3, because that's what they like to do. They like to fly in formations of 3. I don't know if it's mocking the Trinity or what. However, you'll find this over and over where you'll see 3 orbs flying together, or when I take photographs there'll be 3 orbs that are together. Now most of the time you're going to see them in what looks like a pyramid formation, and again they for some reason like the number 3. Could there be something to this? And then there's 3 on the left and 3 on the right. There's your 33 in plain sight as well. And I don't know if it goes that deep, ladies and gentlemen, but this world is run on a spiritual level. By the way, that's a laser beam that's off to the left there, and they're using that to literally guide these things, but it's not really having a big effect on them in this video. But there are other videos where your mind is going to be a little bit blown when you see what happens when laser beams get too close to these orbs. So this is very real. Now here is 7 orbs flying in a very tight formation and a more of a linear formation. And these are flying at an altitude of about 50,000 to 100,000 feet off the ground. So they're flying very fast. I would estimate this to be about 500 to 1,000 miles an hour, judging from my experience, 30 years experience seeing these type of UFOs. So they're very fast. They can take off very fast, or they can just float around really slow or hover. When you see the stars flashing by that quickly, that gives you some indication as to what their speed is. Now, traditionally, laser pointers have been used to, kind of get the attention of UFOs. but I've never seen the UFOs react to the actual laser beam. So this was a really shocking video for me to see, because as you can see, these two orbs are flying up there, and all of a sudden this laser beam happens and they split apart and go to the right at a very high rate of speed. In other words, they're doing a bank there that is close to a 45, maybe even a 90-degree angle there. In an instant. Like if those were human beings inside a craft, they would be dead with that kind of a maneuver, an invasive maneuver like that. So I thought that was really strange, because I had never seen that kind of thing before. Usually laser pointers, you come out with one of the laser pointers and literally you'll get a some kind of a notification from the UFOs. Usually they'll do a power up or something like that for you. And with like these, they're just flying by and they're not being affected at all by the laser pointer there. You got the two groups there of these orbs flying in formation, but they're not too much bothered by the laser beam right there. And that's the way I always thought it was, until I saw this video, because this video clearly shows that these UFOs or orbs are taking evasive maneuvers to try and get away from the actual light beam when they see it. So that was very shocking. Again, I've never seen that before. So what's taking place here? What's going on with the laser beams and the UFOs? Now watch what happens in this video with 20 UFOs. This is a cluster of about 20 UFOs flying together, and all of a sudden a laser beam out of nowhere shows up and splits them into two. Now one group goes to the right and the other group goes to the left. Now this is the group that went to the left, and as you clearly can see, there's about 8 of them, 5, 6, 8, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, looks about 6. And there's another one I believe that just joined the group there. So about 6 or 7 of them flying together there, and they want nothing more than to just hightail it out of Dodge there, and they are just hauling across the whole skyline there. You clearly can see all the stars in the background. So these orbs are traveling literally across the entire sky in just a few seconds. They're hauling. They're going at least 1,000 miles an hour at that point. So here's the question. If these are extraterrestrials that come from some planet that is literally light years away in some other galaxy somewhere out there, and they have the advanced technology to travel from light years away to come to here, right here on Earth, how come they're afraid of a simple little laser pointer, a $20 laser pointer that anyone can buy? How come they scatter like they're afraid of the light? I wonder why they're so afraid of the light. I mean, come on, this doesn't make any sense to me. Unless these are not extraterrestrials, okay? Unless these are not advanced beings with some kind of metallic craft that are flying away. Because you know what? Most of the time when you see UFOs, they're not metallic craft. And they're not anything that most people associate with a UFO, which is some kind of a metallic looking structure of some kind. Most UFOs are lights. Most UFOs are spheres. Most UFOs are what we call orbs. And why is that, ladies and gentlemen? Because the UFOs that are here on Earth are not extraterrestrials from some far off distant planet in some other galaxy. They're from right here on Earth and have been here on Earth as long as the first man that ever walked on this Earth. I've been doing this for 30 years. That's when I had my very first encounter with 100 UFOs. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm up to speed on these guys, and I want to share what I know with you about all of these orbs that are UFOs.
And Beverly Kids joins me now in the newsroom. Those pesky Phoenix lights are back again.
That's right, Mike. We got dozens of calls in the newsroom. There they were, about 9 o'clock Monday night. 7 lights hanging in the sky. But Randy Clark says there were more.
What I saw was actually even maybe another 2 or 3 more lights at least that are either hidden behind some of these other lights or whatever. But I counted at least 10 lights last night. Yeah, I happened to see the Phoenix Light documentary earlier this year, so it was instantly I recognized, okay, those are the Phoenix Lights. What are they doing up in the sky again?
I gave that interview with Channel 3 News back in 2005, and that was like over 15 years ago. When I left the studio They literally changed some of the things that they said that I said. So I want you to know right now, the media, there's a reason why they have the tagline of being fake news, okay? Because they don't tell the truth. They literally tried to get me to say that the Phoenix Lights were connected together. So in other words, that it was one large UFO that was practically a mile wide. And that was what they wanted me to come into the studio and verify for them. They didn't give a crap about me telling them, hey, those are just orbs up in the sky. Now, I will admit, they were the largest orbs I've ever seen, because an airplane took about 2 seconds, a jet, to go from one end of one light to the other. Okay, here's another excellent example of how these UFOs form larger groups or clusters of UFOs. There's some kind of hierarchy where 3 of these appear to be leaders. And wherever they find these leaders, these other UFOs, orbs, tend to cluster into a formation with the pack leaders. And apparently these 3 are pack leaders because you have 5 other orbs flying in from behind at high speed, mind you. Again, these are going at hundreds of miles an hour, and they're covering a pretty large span of space there in just a few seconds, because again, these are flying very high up in the atmosphere. There must be at least hundreds of feet in between these other orbs when they're trying to catch up to the main pack leaders there. And clearly you can see they're coming in at high speed when they come in, and they fall right into place, right into formation there. But that's how they do it. They form these clusters of orbs. So this is clearly demonstrating the advanced capabilities that these UFOs have over any conventional aircraft that we have down here. We can't do what these things can do. These things are moving at hundreds of miles an hour, maybe even 1,000 miles an hour or faster. To be able to come in at such high speed like this and form a formation like that takes incredible skills, or they have some kind of high-tech senses or capabilities of some kind. This earth is just filled with these interdimensional beings, and that somehow they're able to hide themselves either in another dimension, or they're somehow able to phase out of our physical view, because, you know, as human beings we can only see less than 1% of the visible light that's out there. So 99% of the light spectrum, the ultraviolet and all of these other light spectrums, we don't even see that stuff. So imagine if you could see what was in the 99% of the light that we don't see. Well, you would see things like this. Okay, now if these are extraterrestrials that are traveling some I don't know, let's say 50 to 100 light years away from some far off planet in another galaxy, why do they scatter like cockroaches whenever they see a laser beam? That's just, to me, that's something that doesn't add up here. I mean, these things look like cockroaches, okay, in the sky, because they scatter the moment a light beam is pointed in their direction. These things are so fearful of the light that they will be going in, one direction at maybe 200 miles an hour and completely do a U-turn at 200 miles an hour or 100 miles an hour, and then they're taking off at literally 200, 300, 400, 500 miles an hour after this point. But clearly you can see they're taking off at high speed. Once they know there's a big laser beam in their vicinity, they're out of here. Now look at what you missed in this video, because nobody saw this. They didn't see what happens. Look at that. Ladies and gentlemen, you are looking at what is the Phoenix Lights, okay? The same thing happens all over the place, where people see these V-shaped formations of lights in the sky and they automatically think, hey, that's an extraterrestrial craft. No, it's not. Those are just orbs that are forming into a V-shaped formation. But people have this ingrained philosophy of, if it's in a V shape, then it's a metallic craft of some kind. That is not true. Just because you see lights in the sky that form into a V-shaped formation does not mean that they are a metallic craft. You clearly see these orbs form that V-shaped formation to make a U-turn. I mean, how ingenious is that in terms of a formation? I mean, these guys are light years ahead of human technology when it comes to aerodynamics. They can fly circles around the kind of crafts that are flying down here that are metal crafts that are made by human beings. These are not crafts made by human beings or extraterrestrials. These crafts are orbs that live here. So you're telling me these are type 1 civilizations? You're telling me these are aliens? These are extraterrestrials from some distant planet, 50 light years away? Are you kidding me? These things live here on Earth. I mean, I personally saw my very first UFO that looked just like these in 1988, I believe was the year. I don't know the exact year. It was either 1988 or 1987. Back then, I just thought they were UFOs. I didn't know they were fallen angels or demonic spirits, entities that are flying around in our skies every single day of the year. When I saw those UFOs on that beautiful blue California day, I thought that was a one-off event, that I would never see this ever again. So I spent 15 minutes just staring at them. What you're looking at here is so rare. This footage is iconic in a sense, because there's nobody that's captured large groups of UFOs in night vision at nighttime. Okay, so this is so rare just to be able to see this. But what you're going to see over the next 4 minutes is going to be astonishing, because these 50 to 75 UFOs are flying around in the skies, in the atmosphere, and guess what? They're being taunted by laser beams. That's right. These things do not like the light. They are fearful of the light because they are not of the light, okay? They're of darkness, okay? And what we're going to see in this video is going to show clearly that they are very fearful of the light. And ladies and gentlemen, beings of higher intelligence, beings of that come from advanced civilizations are not afraid of light. The only beings that are afraid of light come from darkness. So this is one of the most important and valuable lessons that I've learned over the last 30 years, is that just because something looks cool, just because something looks innocent, just because something looks innocuous, it does not mean that you are not dealing with darkness. Ladies and gentlemen, I truly believe after 30 years of experiencing thousands of orbs, I believe today that these are fallen angels, demonic spirits that are flying around in our skies and are scared of the light because they know that the light comes from the Creator that created the spiritual realm that we live in down here. We live in a supernatural spiritual realm down here on Earth, and people don't even know it. They have no idea that there are literally millions, if not billions, of these spiritual entities in our skies, flying around, doing things that we can't even begin to imagine. I'm not sure what they're doing up there. Obviously, they're watching us. Obviously, they're doing their best to keep track of what's going on down here, because these beings do not like humans. Yes, that's right, ladies and gentlemen. If you've never heard that before, watch these things fly away in total fear like they are right now. They're hauling across the entire sky now. Now, you clearly saw 50 to 75 UFOs that got scared to the point where they literally cut tail and ran. They're nowhere to be seen. They are going to nowhere because these beings live in the darkness. And the only time you see them is when you look into the infrared light spectrum through infrared light cameras or video cameras or night vision cameras. And that's the only way you can see them in most cases at nighttime. But some people can see them with their naked eyes. But there they are. That's the end. This is coming up on 4 minutes of them being taunted with laser beams, and they just had it. So there they go. It's about 75 demonic spirits hauling across the sky to get out of that area because they're afraid of the light, ladies and gentlemen.
Don't forget to subscribe, leave a heartfelt comment, and don't forget to tippity tap that like button. Oh yeah, and don't forget the notification bell to be informed of my new uploads.